What do you prioritize more? People liking you or your life's purpose? If you knew you could have everything you wanted if you just believed, would you take the first step or wait another 10 years? Here on the SDR&R podcast, we tackle everything holding us back.
We all have a dream, but I tell myself it's often a thing. So show me yours and I'll show you mine. I know we both run away all the time. Let's run away, run away, run away. Run away, run away, run away.
That's Runaway by yours truly. Actually, we haven't used any of my music so far for the podcast, but I felt like that song was rather fitting, and it's a new release that just came out, mixed by my awesome rock star buddy, Peter Barker, who's been mixing Guns N' Roses and does some work with Zakk Wylde and all of these great musicians with far more success than I. We're talking this week about perfectionism and why perfectionism is really a problem that will hold you back as an entrepreneur or a dreamer or whatever your goals are. You really can't afford to be a perfectionist. And we're going to get into a lot of the reasons why we hold ourselves back from our own success with ideals and things like that. The lyrics are for that song, we all have a dream, but I tell myself it's all for nothing. So show me yours and I'll show you mine. I know we both run away all the time. Run away, run away, run away. And the second verse is, so show me the scars you're so proud of. I promise that mine are going to show up. Because I looked at God and I turned away. I keep telling myself that I'll be back again someday. So how is it that perfectionism holds us back? One would think, certainly I as a boy had the belief that holding on to an ideal and expecting myself to meet the demands of that ideal was actually going to bring me closer to my success. It was sort of, I was proud of that kind of overachiever, mentality, right? And my teachers in grade school would say, well, he's a perfectionist, right? So that's a good thing. But in life, and especially in entrepreneurship or really anything creative, I have found that you really can't afford to be a perfectionist because that perfectionism prevents you from taking action. And the second word in the title of our podcast is decisions, success, decisions, and rock and roll. And you can't get rock and rolling if you're struggling so much with a decision. So you need to make a decision. We had the episode on, the order in which you need to do it is to do it first. Then you have the things that come from that, and then you understand how everything happened. But we all think it's the reverse order. In a perfect way, you understand it all first. Then you have the things that you need to be in that world or whatever, and the accolades, and then you do it, right? But it's totally the reverse. It's do first without knowing, like you got to take that step, that leap of faith without understanding. You take action, you do it, then you have the things, the accolades and whatnot, and then, only then do you understand it, right? So why are we perfectionists? I think that a lot of it has to do with our own shame. This is in that third verse of that song, I'm naked and alone in my shame. I think we look to ideals out of ourselves, these goals or perfectionist things, as if we have to do everything 110% correctly, even though there's no possible way for us to know or understand what that even really looks like in reality until after we've done it, right? So I hope this makes sense because this is a big one. If you expect yourself to do things perfectly and you are also expecting yourself to do something creative that no one has ever done before. You see where I'm going with this? That's impossible. That cannot happen. You will not, by nature, by default, because you are not God, you will do things imperfectly because it's never been done before. So when the Wright brothers came up with the airplane, yeah, they had an airplane that could successfully fly. Was it the perfect airplane? No. It was a flawed, mistake-ridden airplane, but at least it freaking flew, right? So the same thing goes for your unique business. The same thing goes for your unique version of the success that you long for and desire in your heart of hearts. The same goes for the music you're writing or the creativity that you're putting into the world. No one has ever done it before, I hope. If you're trying to have someone else's success, if you're trying to, as a perfectionist, completely repeat verbatim what someone else has done already, what's the point, man? Because that's been done already. Nobody needs another person to invent the light bulb. We got it. Maybe you come up with a newer version that looks cool or lights the world in a different way, but Thomas Edison did that, and you're not Thomas Edison. We don't need another Thomas Edison, we need you. So if in business you have an idea that's novel, that's new, you have a new invention or a new service style, or you're just awesome and easy to work with, don't try to go out there repeating what someone has already done. And instead, be yourself, because you're going to find power and momentum and energy, unlimited energy, when you're being yourself. But if you expect from yourself to be someone else in a perfectionist type manner, you're setting yourself up to fail and you're going to run out of energy. Why are you setting yourself up to fail? Because you're not that person. Or if it's a business thing, that's been done before. So you're going into this, what we call red ocean. I'm quoting this book. It's called The Blue Ocean Strategy. It's a very famous business strategy book from, I think, the early 90s. Genius stuff, brilliant stuff. But it said, if you're repeating something that's already been done, or if you're entering into an industry that's already sort of figured out, you're not going to have much profit. You might have a tiny bit, but the margins are pretty much set. So for the roofing industry, you're probably going to make the same or similar margins to everybody else, unless you come up with a very new, fresh way to do that, to get supplies or run your team or whatever. So that's what we call a red ocean. It's very competitive, and you can make more margin and consolidate things and become slightly more efficient. And that's cool and well and good. I'm not dogging it, but you're not going to make an incendiary margin. You're not going to make a ton of profit on it because there's all these other people fighting for that extra market share. But if you're in a blue ocean and you're the only one there, and it's blue because there's no blood in the ocean, it's just you. They did this with Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil made a whole new market. It combined live music things along with the circus, along with, theater. So you would have a script and a circus show and some live music that's really great, drumming and whatnot. That created its own market. There became, out of nowhere, this blue ocean, this market for Cirque du Soleil shows. But prior to Cirque du Soleil, you just had Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, and a few other things. But that market was figured out. The circus market was figured out. And if you entered the circus market, you're going to be competing with, Ringling Brothers, and you'll have some margin, but it's probably not going to be a ton. Okay, but when Cirque du Soleil came out, they had this enormous margin. They were crazy profitable because they're the only ones like that. They were creatively doing their own thing. And it's important to note that they were not entering that market as perfectionists. They wanted to do the best that they could, yes, but not perfectly, because by default, when you enter a new thing, when you do something creatively, when you put your idea out there under the sun, there will be things that you figure out that you can do better. So you can't possibly do it perfectly the first time you're ever doing it. So it's kind of a catch-22. What I'm trying to say overall, here's my thesis statement, perfectionism will hold you back. You can't be creative if you're being a perfectionist. And in order to live your own life, in order to have your success that your life's purpose is meant to do, different from anyone else, your uniqueness, you have to be allowed to be creative. And you have to be very good at being creative, okay? So you can't have a perfectionist ideal. That's impossible. You're not a god, okay? So I hope that makes sense. So I also think it's kind of a people-pleasing thing. And this is where the shame kind of comes in the door, rearing its ugly ass head, right? So I think We want things that we turn in, that we put out into the world, especially that are seen, we want them to be perfect. Ideally, they would be perfect. But again, that's a unsustainable, idealistic, naive goal. Because if you're going to do anything, you're going to fail some. I don't even look at it as failures. I think it was Thomas Edison that said it took him 10,000 tries to make the light bulb. But it wasn't really 9,999 failures. It was actually 9,999 ways not to make the light bulb. You're learning. You have to fail upwards. You fail towards your success. And rather than take it as a hit that means something about you, like, oh, I'm a terrible person because I fail all the time, instead of that, you take it as, oh, now I'm learning, right? Now I can see the way to do this correctly. So the people pleaser in all of us, and I say this with compassion, right? I certainly have it. I think it's human nature to want to please people, certainly in our society and our friends and family. We would want for it to be perfect. We want to somehow avoid any judgment. There's gonna be haters. Yeah, it's just a fact of the matter, and it's okay. Who gives a shit? Fuck them. Like we always say, laugh it up all the way to the bank. Any haters, they're not worth your time. And you will find that the real haters, that really get on you and have time to judge you and criticize you often, they're 99.99% of the time doing a lot worse at life than you are. And it used to be pre-internet days. If you met someone like a homeless person on the street that was had unlimited time to criticize you and say that they don't like you, you wouldn't give them the time of day. But now the internet is largely anonymous, right? So people can put these negative criticisms against you, and your mind might give it the same weight as it would give to Elon Musk if he was criticizing you. But Elon Musk is not going to criticize you. Or if he is, you're doing great, man, and tell me what to do. Because I would love to learn, right? I will be your Padawan. Sorry, Star Wars reference. But anyway, it's a people-pleasing thing, and we need to let go of expecting everyone to like us and everyone to love what we're doing, right? And I think largely it's not really other people so much as it's the voices in the back of our heads. So just let that go. Let go of your need to please and just give it your best shot. So I think another facet to this is our subconscious. Let's go over this because it's important. Your subconscious is always a voice in your head that wants to keep the status quo. It wants to keep everything the same. And really, it wants to keep everything as it was in your childhood environment because it feels the safest in that environment, even if that environment has a lot of chaos. Even if that environment would be uncomfortable to most people, it's comfortable to you. And this might seem like a strange thing, but if you want to grow, if you want to become successful and meet your own goals and crush them, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to allow yourself to step out of your comfort zone, whatever that is, and fight against your subconscious. And we're going to do another episode on this, but a lot of people trust their gut, right? But oftentimes your gut is going to be wrong if this is the first time that you're being an entrepreneur. If you're not in the habit of making yourself crush your goals, even at the cost of being uncomfortable and not feeling good about it, then you're probably not going to have a trustworthy gut. You have to go with your mental direction, even though it's going to feel bad. So your subconscious has everything available to it to just fuck with you. So your subconscious can make you feel bad, it can make you depressed, it can make you nervous, it can make you anxious, it can make you fight with yourself or your spouse, or your kids or whatever. Your subconscious can do anything to stop and prevent you from changing. So the subconscious does not want change. And the subconscious is brilliant. It's smarter than you are. Okay, at least subconsciously. So the subconscious will put this perfectionist requirement onto you, even though that is impossible, like we first talked about, knowing that that will sabotage your success. Okay, so your subconscious will prevent your success by giving you an impossible task. And then you'll just go in the loop. And every time that you fail, rather than failing upward, you're going to fail down. And you're going to think, oh, I'm a failure and I can't possibly do this. Okay, but that's bullshit. Let it go. You're just learning. Take it as a learning thing. Do your best and forget the rest. Your subconscious does not want you to go out there and shine. So it's going to make this world for you in which you have to stay kind of a hermit and never put yourself out there and never try something new. Instead, it wants you to repeat stuff that other people have done, that everyone finds perfectly acceptable and normal, and not change anything. Going after your own success requires vulnerability. It's hard. It's scary. It can be terrifying at times. You will find that you have a lot of shame around yourself and your own dreams. The deeper the dream, the more energy you have to put into it, but the more shame if it gets somehow rejected or if it fails. Okay, but you got to understand, your dream is going to fail on your way towards reaching that dream. And that's fine. I just want to normalize this. And by normalize, I mean allow for you to expect it, right? So when the subconscious says, look at you, you shitbag, you failed, you can say, yeah, of course I failed. And it wasn't really a failure, it was me learning how to do it better. This makes me better, okay? So all the haters, people judgmental, and yourself, you can answer them with that. Thanks for making me better. I'm gonna take this lesson and get better. Hell yeah, I love this shit. Help me to get better. And the other thing, we kind of talked about this earlier too, but I want to get into it more here. Your success is different from anyone else's. And a perfectionist thinking is that you need to repeat someone else's success. But are you an artist or are you a fraudster going out there repeating these incredible works of art? I would guess it's the former. At least that's what you would like. So if that's what you would like, to be your own artist and make your art, not repeating someone else's, you can't possibly be a perfectionist unless the perfectionism to you is whatever I come up with, which would be great. If you accepted and embraced whatever you come up with and the fact that you will learn how to do it even better as you go, then cheers for you. You're killing it. That's great. If, however, you don't accept that and you expect yourself to do it perfectly the first time you try, then you're gonna struggle a lot going forward. So your success looks different from anyone else's. This is an easy example for entrepreneurs, okay? If you're an entrepreneur, I would hope that your business is unique in some way. It ought to be. I mean, maybe you're picking up a franchise or whatever, but even then, you're gonna run it in a unique way with your twist on it, your spice. And the more spice that you put on that thing, the better it's gonna be, okay? Because that's you. You're not repeating what someone else did at a different time. Why is that important? If you're looking at things from a perfectionist standpoint and expecting yourself to repeat something that someone has already done and have their same results, that is crazy. That is insane. Because when they did it that time, it was new for them. And it was based on their circumstances, okay? The circumstances they had gave them those results at that one time, which we are removed from now. So in retrospect, we understood why it was so great. But at the time, they didn't know it was going to be so great. They might have thought it was, but they didn't know. Even if you copied verbatim what someone else did prior, you can't expect for this new world to give you the same result, even if you did that same thing. I keep thinking of Kurt Cobain, and this is probably me, let's just face it, I'm talking about myself. I have tried a few times to do a lot of the same things that Kurt Cobain does. I mean, absent the drugs and all of that. But I'm trying to be creative like he did and come up with music that's, ends up being quite similar. But now is a very different time from when he found success. That was 35 years ago, okay? That was early 90s, late 80s. And the world has changed a great deal. Just think about the world in 1990 versus right now. That was pre-internet, basically. I mean, we had some internet, but it was kind of a joke. It was nothing compared to what we have now, Certainly we didn't have social media. We didn't even have cell phones. You had a tape deck. If you think you had CDs at that point. If you did, they weren't widespread. So the world was totally different. And society was different too. That was coming off the Cold War. The generations were quite different. World politics were different. I think people were still smoking on planes at that point, just to give you an idea. I can't be another Kurt Cobain. And frankly, I don't want to be. I think if Kurt Cobain came out now, I don't know what kind kind of results he would have. It would probably be quite different from his results in 1993. So be creative, be yourself, put whatever you have out there. And I understand that you got to be vulnerable and all of this. You will have the most unlimited energy to be yourself and bring your own stuff into the world, your own creativity, your own business, whatever it is, rather than trying to, as a perfectionist, repeat what someone else has done before you. And even if you were to perfectly repeat what someone else has done before you, you can't expect the same results as that person that did it perfectly before you, because it's a different time. The world is different. Society is different. You are different. People aren't going to respond to it the same. So that's not actual perfection. You're just being a fraudster repeating what someone else is doing. So if people tell me that I'm imperfect, I say, hell yeah, of course. Of course I'm imperfect, right? What to you is perfection? And then they're going to give me like somebody to look up to. Yeah, well, they were perfect at that time, but not anymore. Genius is spontaneous most of the time. Brilliance just kind of happens. And usually, like we talked about earlier, you don't understand that it's brilliant genius until well after it happened. Looking back, you can say, yeah, Smells Like Teen Spirit was the perfect song for an entire generation. Did we know that at the time? No. There was a lot of haters at the time. I'd say it's probably 10 times the amount of fans now than what there were when he came out with that song, right? And the same thing's gonna happen to you, right? We did the episode on, do have understand. You will not understand how it is brilliant, spontaneous genius that you put out there until well after, and that's fine, just give that up. Give up that expectation that everyone's gonna see you as a brilliant genius right when you're doing stuff. They'll see it when the results come later, and then you'll understand it, and so will they. But don't expect yourself to understand your brilliance and genius right now, much less get those results. I think if you let go of your perfectionism, which is a way of letting go of that judgment from yourself and from others, you will find that you have a near unlimited amount of energy. My example is when I decided to pursue music along with pursuing the law. Before doing it, I was telling myself the story, which was a lie, that I couldn't possibly find more time in the day to pursue music and play music and write it and record it and on, because I felt so busy, because I spent and to myself needed, let's say, 2 hours of television, if not 3 or 4 a day. What I found after I made the decision to pursue music was that I didn't need near that much time watching television. And the only reason why I was watching that much television was to kind of numb out, to make up for the fact that I was not spending my time pursuing music. So let me say that again. Pursuing music, doing more, being more productive, gave me more energy. Okay, so the reverse was true from what I was thinking. I thought it would take my energy out of me, but it gave me more. Sounds crazy, but it's true. That's what happened. Similarly, before I was working out, I thought there's no way that I can work out. That sounds like a lot of work. I can't be that productive. I'm tired. But working out put me in better shape. And the end result was that I had not only the energy to work out every day, but also more energy that was created because my body became healthier. So if you pursue your own success religiously, rather than repeating someone else's success in a perfectionist bullshit type way, you will very likely find that you have not only the energy to do that, but even more energy than you ever thought possible, because you're no longer tired out from not doing the things that you want to do, okay? It's very tiring to hold yourself to the standard of someone else and their version of perfection, okay? Don't be the next fill in the blank. Fucking be yourself. The world doesn't need another fill in the blank. The world needs you. Please, for the sake of us all, be yourself. You will find unlimited energy to be yourself. You will find very little energy, if any, to be someone else. The last thing I want to cover is the 80% rule. Shoot for a B-. I know it sounds, shitty, but really, that's the way to go, man. Don't shoot for an A++. Shoot for a B-. Get yourself by. It's a decent grade. It's not a failing grade. It's good. It's solid. It's a grade that tells you Yeah, I have more to learn, but I did it. I put myself out there, I shot my shot, and I got an 80%. It's good, okay? And then what will happen is that people will look to what you feel is 80% as, 110% for them. We talked about this earlier. Someone famous said, and I love this rule, making the wrong decision and acting upon it right now is very often better than making the quote unquote right decision that is delayed. Okay, so making no decision, delaying the making of a decision will screw you up because you lose that opportunity. But if you make a decision, any decision, even what you might later find to be the slightly wrong decision or the very wrong decision, is 9 times out of 10 better on the whole, given your net results, than not making a decision at all. Be decisive. This podcast is called Success Decisions in Rock and Roll. You need to make decisions actively, okay? And the perfectionist in us is like, what if? I don't know, okay? But you're at a yellow light, man, and you gotta stop or go. And this opportunity has a short window in entrepreneurship, in life, in relationships, whatever it is that you're into. That opportunity, I guarantee, is short, and it is time-based, okay? And if you wait too long, you lose it. So make a damn decision, and don't worry about it. Don't totally trust your gut, though, because we'll get into that in the next couple episodes. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Love you guys. We're going to be recording. I guess when this comes out, we will have just recorded our other 6 songs with Peter Barker, so I'm super happy about that. And we'll be releasing them at the same intervals as before, so hope you enjoy it. I'm Jonathan Sparks, and this is the Success and Decisions Rock and Roll Podcast. All right, talk soon. If you enjoyed this podcast and you want to hear more, check us out on jonathansparksmusic.com, JONATHAN sparksmusic.com. Please like and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We love you guys. We'll talk soon.